Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce, Michael, and Ivy. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
And our super producer,
Riley Bray.
Oh boy, how's it going, gentlemen?
Very well, very well.
Yeah, that's all right. Better now.
Did you guys,
That's good.
Did you guys
That's
check
good.
out Biden's press conference about the UAPs that were shot down today?
No,
I missed
no,
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me
tell us
too.
about it.
Oh, well, real quick, he came out and he basically was like, he didn't bring up the term alien or UFO or anything like that, but he actually said they're still recovering the stuff. They're not sure what it is, but he sort of hinted that it's probably more likely that they are balloons from the private sector or research from universities and stuff like that. They don't necessarily think it's any kind of spy craft. And he echoed what we had said in our BCC emergency episode a couple weeks back about, this is all old news by the time they're hearing this, but this is where we are in the timeline.
Right.
But echoed the sentiment that they just start that it's not that there's more stuff coming in. It's because they widened the scope of the radar, that they started to take down the stuff as an overabundance of caution after the spy balloon they shot down on February 2nd. So
Got it.
probably
just updated those preferences. Yep.
Yep. So probably
So we're just like
nothing.
shooting down science projects now.
Yeah,
basically.
we're basically just shooting down something that a professor at
With
the
F-20
university
with
worked
F-22
very hard on.
Raptors.
Yeah.
Also, those missiles cost like $400,000 each, but no big deal. Whatever. Moving on.
I mean, it was confusing. Even on the day that we were recording, there was the general who was like, we're not ruling out UFOs. And one of the F-15 pilots was like, I think this thing interfered with our comms, so there's a lot of language out there that makes it sound very spooky. Our guest is I can tell is eager to maybe chime in on this. So let's bring her in. Our guest this week is an actress from hit shows like Glow, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and the new Netflix rom-com movie Your Place or Mine, starring Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon. Club Scouts of all timelines, please welcome to the show Britney Young.
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
I know.
thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I love how you're like, she wants to comment. I'm like sitting here like, this is news to me.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. You just
Perfect.
your reaction was like, oh yeah, let me get in here.
I know that they shot. I'm from Alaska originally, and I know they also shot down something within like Alaska airspace. And I know that back home, it was a big thing that like actually made my sister watch the news, who like never watches the news. But other than that, I have not been keeping up on it.
Yeah, they shot down some stuff over like the Yukon territories. It's out on some like tundra, and they're trying to get it, but the weather's really bad. Yeah, but yeah, it was all. I kind of felt I was like, of course, I'm sure some people are screaming sheeple at me, but like I was kind of proud. I was like, well, we kind of covered this. Is kind of everything that we said in our emergency episode. He's sort of he must have listened to our BCC emergency episode and gotten the information that we. Yeah, he took it from us.
Yeah.
Good job, Biden.
It's nice to be able to help. He probably follows the show.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just one of those things where I think we were all feeling like, okay, UFOs have been showing up for the better part of like 200, 300, 500 years. And what, just in the last week, we managed to shoot down 4. It was kind of like, wait a minute. I don't know.
It really, it felt like they're playing with our hearts here. Cause it's like, it was too good to be true. It was, the alien invasion. I was ready, and it wasn't. So
why are they all coming to America?
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Also,
like,
great
why
question.
specifically the U.S.? Like nowhere else. They don't want to see any other part of the world. Just the U.S.
Come on, branch out a little, aliens. Explore. Travel.
who knows?
Keeps
But
the soul.
in the 14 days between when we're recording this and when this drops, maybe we've been invaded. I guess, hit that follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts so
You'll find
you can stay
out.
up to date. You'll find out. We'll try to update it it will update it in real time as it's happening. So make sure that you are subscribed to the show to stay up to date to your future masters. Yeah. The alien race is coming to take us all. All right. Well, Brittany, it's so great to have you here. You grew up in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Did you grow up in? No, I don't know. Did you grow up there? Or were you just like from there and then you moved to someplace less interesting than Alaska?
So I was gonna say I was originally born. I was only born once. I was actually born in Tokyo. Yeah, I don't. Another universe. I was actually born in Tokyo, Japan.
Cool.
And lived there for like 10 years. And then my parents decided to move us back to the States. And they moved back to like my mom's home state of Alaska and lived there till like I went to college and just have been living in California ever since then. So really enjoy living in earthquake prone places. My entire life. So that's been fun.
Also, two places that I feel like would have cool like folklore. Japan's got cool folklore.
Oh yeah,
like good ghost stories, and then Alaska. I feel like you got your Bigfoot, your Sasquatch, some good tall tales and legends up there.
Yeah, and apparently, it's so weird. It's so weird how many, like, especially in like our business, how many movies have now set all these like traditional like vampires and zombies in Alaska. I'm like, y'all think a lot of stuff is happening up there. I don't know if that's true.
Like, it's a very cinematic wilderness,
Yeah, just very cinematic shots up there,
Yeah. So not in your experience, a lot of vampires and Sasquatches and
taking advantage of those long nights.
Not in Eagle River, Alaska. Maybe other places, but I think a lot of people are drawn to the whole, like, obviously the farther north you go, you get the whole like 6 months of night and the 6 months of daylight. We don't get that in my hometown. We're more like shortest day is like 4 hours of sunlight.
Where is your hometown in Alaska, Brittany?
So it's 10 miles outside of Anchorage. Some people would say it's a suburb, but they are like trying to like, it's insane. They have like Eagle exit signs up, trying to do a Brexit situation, trying to like get away from Anchorage. But it's not like in the boondocks, Alaska. It's a town.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just made that sound real romantic.
Hey, a type of romantic where a vampire and a mortal could maybe fall in love.
Exactly. Twilight Alaska style.
All right. Well, let's get into it. We love to ask all of our guests, what is your personal paranormal history? Brittany, you and I were recently at a get-together, and you got excited when I mentioned that I do a paranormal podcast.
Yes.
That makes me wonder if you've ever experienced something you cannot explain.
I have. I mean, to me, they're exciting. I have 2 incidences, and they're like small, tiny ones. But I got excited because I'm just a huge paranormal fan. Like I was telling you, like my sister and I, our dream is to have our own like ghost hunting travel show. We have desperately tried.
You heard it here first, everybody.
We are trying so hard, but we don't have the money for the equipment. Also, we've showed up to places and they're like, "Who the hell are you? Like, do you have a permit?" And we're like, "No."
Where are you showing up?
We're like, well, back home, there's this one town in Alaska. It's called Whittier, where a lot of people talk about how there's a building that used to occupy essentially the entire town because it used to be a military town. So every single person who lived in Whittier, Alaska, lived inside this building, and it's rumored to now be haunted because obviously it was like the only place that everybody lived. So like some people died there and all these things happened, but it no longer houses anybody. It's just completely abandoned, but it is barricaded off. And we've tried to go there. Creepy. Yeah. And like have been like, "Hey girls, what are you doing here?" And we're like, "We're just looking." So that was an unsuccessful attempt, but yeah, we've like tried other places like 4th Avenue Theater. People just don't want to let us in if you're not cool. That's what it is.
Maybe you just need to call ahead.
Yeah, or just even show up with any kind of like legitimate looking equipment. We literally came with like iPhones and a flashlight.
You can just print up something that says like paranormal investigator on your computer, like laminate it, you'll be fine. That's all you need. These are all
going.
These are all titles that people have just given themselves to go into old buildings. That's all, you know what I mean?
We should try it. But in addition to that, I love ghosts, want to do my own show, but my experiences are, the first one was actually, I was a senior in college at USC, and my Aunt Deneen, who was a very big part of my life, she had passed away about 4 months earlier from cancer. And I was going through, you guys remember like digital cameras where you had to like download your photos onto your computer?
Oh,
I was going through my like summer photos, and I had downloaded some pictures from her funeral and hadn't like looked at the pictures since then. And I was just sitting there looking at them and, you know, just thinking about her and, you know, kind of getting a little bit sad. And all of a sudden, again, showing my age, my iPod that was on my desk turned on and started playing a song randomly.
Oh.
And this was before like iPod. So I didn't nudge anything to like turn it on. It was one of those ones where you could like lock the home screen, and I always did when I shut it off. But I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's weird. It's playing a song. And I picked it up and looked at it. It was playing Grease by Frankie Valli, which is crazy. It's in my iPod. I have the whole soundtrack. But my Aunt Deneen's favorite movie was Grease.
Whoa.
And one who introduced me to that. And it was the movie that when we would visit from Japan, she'd always make me and my sister watch with her, like without fail.
Come on. That's a sign. That's
totally.
That's a sign from the other side.
I was trying to like turn it off, and I was like, there's no way. I remember the last song playing before was Drake because he had just dropped an album. And I was like, how did it all of a sudden get to Grease now? But I just let it play and kind of just sat there, and I was like, all right, I think it's Deneen, and kind of got like really happy about it.
That's cool.
Yeah, but it's also like one of those things where I think now, if I were to really like, I don't know, if like her spirit were to have walked into the room, would I be happy or would I have been freaked out as hell?
I think about that a lot too. There's definitely close loved ones that have passed that I really think if they walked in the room, I'd be like, yay!
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I might be worried that I just died and maybe they were coming to bring me over.
Right.
But I thought about this. Long-time listeners know about my beloved bulldog, Albie, who passed away. But I often have thoughts of like, if he just ran into the room right now, I don't think I'd scream. I think I'd be like, yay, I'm so happy to see you, you know?
Yeah. But then when you think on the flip side, if it was somebody completely unrelated to you, if somebody else's dog ran in, do you think you would freak out? Is it because of the familial?
I think Michael would still be happy.
I'd still be any dog that ran in. True. Any dog that ran in excited to see me, I'd be down. But it would be like having a stranger in your house. That's creepy because then you're getting into a thing of like someone you don't know is there. That heightens things, I feel like, for sure.
Yeah, I just can't tell if I'm like I say I want to see a ghost, like for real, and then I'm like, when I'm actually facing one, am I going to be a badass or scared?
Yeah, no kidding.
You know,
you may not have the luxury of knowing you're facing a ghost until they vanish.
That's true.
You know,
and that is very true. That is true.
Did anyone else in your family feel like they got a message from your aunt?
I mean, we definitely have had that thing where she's visited us all in dreams.
Okay.
But no, I haven't heard anybody say, like my mom, unfortunately now she's had two sisters pass from cancer, and her dreams with both of them are extremely vivid. Like she remembers the outfits they're wearing, and they're specifically like in places they've been before. But I haven't been told that she or my Aunt Diane, who has passed, have come to like visit them in like the real world.
Okay.
Okay.
But I mean, maybe I should ask. I have also not even asked.
You should ask. So
I should ask.
Sometimes people don't share this. I mean, if they asked you, did they know this story?
My mom knows the story because I told her like that day. I was like, oh my God, this happened. And she was like, oh, you know, again, like as me was like, that's really sweet. That's very nice that she came to say hello.
You know, there's something about that old like electronic equipment. Ghost hunters really sort of well, I know especially those old electronic voice recorders, especially the ones that carry the little tapes. Those are like the electronic ones too. Those are like hot sought after properties. And, you know, you can't buy them today for like less than $200, and they're all owned by like ghost hunters. Funnily enough.
Riley, I feel like you could run a pretty sick side business of just selling old analog sound equipment to ghost hunters.
It's a good idea.
Side hustle.
My gears turn. I smell an Etsy shop.
Yeah, for sure. The BCC Paranormal Junk Shop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that would be
amazing. There does
amazing.
seem to be like, I don't know, less like, you know, less good pictures on. Everybody has an iPhone or a smartphone today. You know, it's those old digital pictures that really sort of, I don't know. I think there's a lot more better ghost pictures on those than there are today. Maybe I'm wrong, but
yeah.
No, I feel like you're right.
Orbs, I feel like pop up. Like I went to, I don't know if you guys believe in orbs. I feel like I believe in orbs in the right space. In the right space. Sometimes it's just dust, y'all. But I actually went to the Winchester Mystery House and took a picture. I should send it to you guys. I took a picture of one of the crazy staircases.
Oh, yeah.
And it clearly in the middle of the staircase is like the most vivid orb I've ever seen. And it is the only thing in the picture. Like, it's insane. I will send it to you guys. I should have said, why didn't I send it to you before? I didn't do my research.
Yeah.
Send it now.
This is what happens. You start talking, you realize all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll,
100%.
if it's okay with you, maybe, you know, if we feel, listen, if it passes the BCC Paranormal Junk Shop test, then we'll put it up on the Instagram so people can take a peek at it. But I think you're right, because Bryce, I remember I told this story recently, but like getting orbs with like contrails on them from like photo to photo where you can actually see it moving and leaving a little trail of light. That was all on my old digital camera with like an SD card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my phone.
No. What is it about iPhones? They just don't want you to be catching the spirits.
I guess
they've gotten too advanced. We need a little bit of that. We need that jankiness in the technology for the ghosts to get up in there.
Yeah.
It needs to be a little fuzzy, you know?
It does need, like, there was something visceral when we did our ghost quest, and we had Linda the ghost hunter use her what's called a spirit box, and it's really just this piece of equipment that scans the AM radio frequencies in a rapid pace, and it just picks up on micro words, but I'll be damned if you ask it a question, you start getting sentient answers back, and there's something more visceral about it, more tactile when you're hearing it come from that old equipment. I don't know. It just I really dug it. You know,
I've seen those before. Again, equipment me and my sister can't afford.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out.
You come on down to the BCC Paranormal Junk Shop.
Get the Etsy shop up and running.
We'll get you
a deal. We'll get you.
We'll get you a micro cassette.
All guests get 5% off.
Yes,
that's right. It goes a long way. The prices are high.
So was the Winchester orb the second story, or did you have something else?
The Winchester orb was just something that popped up in my head. My second story is when did we go? This would have been when I first started dating my fiance. So 2017, my fiance Shane and I went up north. He's from Ireland, so I took him like to San Francisco area.
Again, another fun place with cool folklore. You guys are too cool.
And I've tried to get him to go to crazy. I've tried to get him to go to places there, and he's just like not into it. And I'm like, all right, I'll just have to do it by myself. But we went to Alcatraz, and I've done the Alcatraz tour a lot. Well, okay, I've done it like 3 or 4 times. That's not a lot.
Maybe that's a lot.
Okay, fine. All right.
Anytime, I think anytime more than one, it's a lot.
More than one is a lot.
I love haunted history. I specifically love haunted history. So I went there and took Shane, and this time I did the I think they call it the ghost tour. It's just the one that is like starts at 5:00 and goes to like 7.
Yeah, they do it at night. Dark. Right.
Yeah. Like it's just dark out. But we went to cell block D, which has the solitary confinement cells there. And there is a solitary confinement cell that you can go into if you want. They don't, or they didn't on our tour. They don't close the door. I don't know if they ever close the door, but you can go in and stand in like this really small cell and see like a little bit of how dark it was. But minute I walked into cell D, I immediately felt the biggest pressure on my chest and like had a really, really hard time breathing. And I was trying to get Shane. I was like, Shane, are you breathing okay? Like, what's going on? He's like, I'm fine. Our tour guide was like, are you okay to like go forward? Cause I really had to like stop and was like behind the tour. This wasn't one of the audio set ones. It was one like that was actually guided cause it's the ghost tour. And I was like, I'm fine. So I stepped into the confinement cell and just stood there and literally could not catch my breath for like a good minute.
Whoa.
And I had to step out.
Sure
and he was like, it was like the worst feeling because I was like, I don't know, is this in my head because I'm in a small space? Like it was one of those things where I like read through everything. And the tour guide was just like, you're not the only person that this has happened to. A lot of people, like he asked me, he's like, are you an empath? And I was like, I consider myself to be a very empathic person. And he was like, a lot of people who are sensitive to other people's energies come in here and they do feel that heaviness and that coldness. And I was like, I don't feel the cold, but I feel the heavy. And he was like, yeah, it's happened to a lot of people. And the minute we walked out and went into what is the library section, it just all went away, like suddenly went away.
Whoa.
I'm sure those four walls of that solitary confinement are just stained with trauma and high emotion, which you know, there's this, I think it's called the stone tape theory, but it's this idea that you know, things like rocks and or places like a cell can actually hold memory of just
what's happened?
Extremely high tortuous emotion. And God, that would be a place where it would happen. I went on that tour with my family. That is a great tour. If you haven't done it, I highly recommend it. Riley, you'll like this. They would say on New Year's night, it would be the most torturous because all the way over on the Bay of San Francisco, the water would carry the noises of all the party goers just very faintly so that they could actually hear it in their cells of everybody having a good time and celebrating the new year. Like that sound traveled all the way across the bay.
Sad.
It is.
Poor criminals.
So is murder.
Yeah,
so is murder.
murderers.
That. So maybe they should have thought of that before that.
You know. Yeah.
That's
Alcatraz
spooky
is a
stuff.
trip.
Did you ever talk to Donalyn Champlin on Crazy Ex-Girls set? Because she's also into this stuff and like has similar experiences when she's gone on ghost tours.
I don't know if we've love her to death, but I don't even know if we've ever talked about it. Oh, I 100% believe she's an empath. Oh yeah, we did a couple episodes with her, but similar stuff where she like had like that just like something's latching onto me here, some sort of feeling or emotion. So what do you think's behind it? Do you think spirits are dead people? Are they a time loop? What is it? Just energy? If you had to like, I kick up a theory. I think I'm one of those people, like, again, like I kind of saying about the orbs, I think it depends on the location. I don't think it's a one answer. Like, I think that to me, when I was there, it felt more like an energy. Like, I don't expect to walk into like a solitary confinement cell and be like, yay, this feels great. Like, I expect, you know, like Bryce, like what you're saying, like I expect to feel that energy of all those people that sat in the dark for 24 hours for years. You know, like I believe that in Alcatraz specifically, I think it is an energy, whereas like somewhere else, like let's say like the Winchester Mystery House, I think that there truly is spirits, mostly because I think that Sarah Winchester invited them there. I don't think they followed her there.
Yeah,
like, I think she invited them purposely. But then it's like somewhere else where, you know, like my aunt, like that to me, I think was specifically a spirit trying to put some sign into this side of the world. But like, I think it just all depends on the location and what's happened there. Like it's not a one size fits all kind of haunting.
I love it.
It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. Yeah, all three could be true and exist. You know what I mean? We know so little about. I mean, even though there are people out there who know a great deal about ghosts and stuff, but there's still so much that we don't know. You know, I mean,
or refuse to believe.
Yeah,
exactly.
Very true.
I'm with you, Brittany. I'm like, I take it by a case basis, and I think all these things could be true in different given circumstances.
Now, when you say you consider yourself an empath, like are there other instances you can point to of like when you kind of discovered that, or how that's like shown itself in your life?
I mean, I've seen so many things, guys. I have to stay off social media for a while because I keep on seeing have you guys seen that trend of like the thing you want in your relationship the most is the thing you missed in your childhood? And I'm like, what? Like, I can't deal with like those revelations. But like, I just feel like from a very young age, I've always been that person that, like, I thought I knew people so well that just even by looking at them, like specifically looking at my dad is like a high school basketball and football coach. Even before I know how the game went, the minute he walks into the door, just by how he opens the door, I know if he won or lost. Like, it's just things like that I gravitate toward. Or it's like my fiance, he thinks that he is this like stone-faced Irishman. And I'm like, no, I can tell you 100% what your mood is right now just by looking at you. You know, like I just feel like I've always been that person that just really can kind of understand how people are feeling before they tell me. I'm not always correct, but I'm usually in the ballpark of it.
I feel you. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse too, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because like when you feel deeply for how others are experiencing, you know, hard times, good times, it can be a lot to take in. And I think people who are empathetic, sometimes they take on a lot of that burden of somebody they're sort of picking up on those vibes from, and it can be a lot, you know? Yeah.
And I also too, it's like I start to take those feelings on, and that is something in like literally like 2022 now that has kind of like made me flip the switch of like, oh, I can't take on other people's emotions, especially if it literally like has nothing to do with me. And I think forever it was like, oh crap, like my dad lost the game, it's my fault. And it's like, I wasn't there. I'm not the point guard, sir. Like,
let's both experience this.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like I should not have to feel that. And I think that is like what I was saying. Like when I walked into that cell, it's like I didn't do the time, I didn't do the crime. So to like feel that is like a lot, and not know where it's coming from is like why would I want to keep standing here? And I think that was one of the things where it was like I literally was standing in that cell and like looking at Shane and just being like, you don't feel that? Like, why don't you feel that if I feel that? You know, and that was like kind of like a mind game as well too. Cause literally I'm telling you, like right when I walked into that library, it just like boop, it was completely different. I mean, I love libraries, but it was like a whole 180 switch.
So strange.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never had anything like that happen to me, but I believe it happens.
Oh, yeah.
You know? All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to play a fun game with Britney, and then it'll be time for this week's story of high strangeness. All right, we're in the clubhouse with Britney Young. And Britney, it's time to play a game we play with all of our guests. Okay. I'm going to go down a list of phenomena, rapid fire.
Oh, God.
And now, this is it. You have to make a choice. You have to come down on one side or another. There's no in between, okay? If you're open to something, you're going to say believe it. If you're not open to it, you're going to say bullshit. We can always circle back at the end of the game and unpack a few of these, but you got to choose now. Got it?
Okay. Yes.
This is a game we call bullshit
or believe it.
Britney Young, on your mark. Get set. Ghosts.
Believe.
Bigfoot.
Believe.
Britney, I'm mean to everyone I play this game with.
I knew this was coming.
I have to say, believe it.
Oh, believe it. Okay.
Michael loves rules. He's got to be just right.
Officer Michael's coming out. He's going to tell you to play the game.
I was feeling like an empath there, feeling you being like,
I'm so into it, I forgot.
Feeling me or feeling Britney getting chastised?
You, Michael. No, feeling you being
Michael's
like,
energy, yeah.
You're like, oh, am I going to break it and say it? I am. I have to. I'm going to.
I have to do it.
I think the audience felt Michael's energy too. That's how this stuff works.
Way to connect it back to the callback.
All right,
there you go.
Nice.
UFOs.
Bullshit.
Mothman.
Bullshit.
Curses.
Believe it.
Possessed dolls.
Pass. Circle back. Path?
Say one or the other.
Bullshit.
The Bermuda Triangle.
Believe it.
Hollow Earth.
Don't even know what that is.
The Earth is hollow and there's creatures that live down there.
Bullshit.
There are alien constructs on the moon.
Bullshit.
Psychic visions.
Believe it.
Dreams are other realities, and when you fall asleep, you visit them.
Ooh, believe it.
Time travel.
Believe it.
Bending spoons with your mind.
Bullshit.
Entities from other dimensions visit our world.
Believe it.
Pet sea spirits.
Believe it.
Tarot cards.
Believe it.
The Loch Ness Monster.
Ooh, believe it.
The government is hiding the truth about Roswell.
Believe it.
We are living in a simulation.
Bullshit.
You could outsmart a werewolf.
Bullshit.
Planet Earth. Every week I forget that I put that one in there. And each week I'm tickled more and more by it. It's so stupid. Planet and people's answers. Planet Earth is a sentient macroorganism.
Bullshit.
The universe is looking out for you.
Believe it.
Finally, in our original timeline, the famous Bears family last name was spelled Berenstein, not Berenstain.
Believe it.
Okay, great job,
okay.
Brittany.
Well done.
Believe
All right,
it.
we'll circle back. Which was the one? Was it which one did you pass
No,
on?
possessed dolls. Possessed dolls.
That one really gave you a hard time.
I mean,
What's
I think it's like, I think it's a weird conspiracy theory that dolls can be possessed, because I think that grown men at a certain point in time thought playing with dolls was stupid and scary, and they did not want them in their homes anymore, because it was basically like a sign of girls not doing, like, not tending to the home.
Oh,
like, I don't.
Interesting theory.
I think I just think that it's just one of the, because, like, truly, when you look at dolls, people are quick to be like, oh, that doll's creepy, when there's nothing creepy. Like, there's no even sign of possession, just the look of a doll people think is creepy. And I'm like, I just think that's some stupid made up construct.
Wow. Possessed dolls is internalized misogyny.
I think so. Because, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but truly, like, I feel like if I asked, like, a bunch of girlfriends, are dolls creepy? They'd all be like, no. But if I asked, like, a bunch of guy friends, they'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, fucking dolls creepy.
What we can't see is if we just slightly pan over Brittany's camera, there's a wall of dolls just next to her. The biggest. Bryce used to have a doll collection.
Dolls.
That's true.
Yeah, I used to make dolls of my friends. I would
really.
There's nothing creepy
they're more
about
like
that.
Action figures. I mean, I guess you would. They were like they were Barbies. Are Barbies dolls? Do
Barbies are
count?
dolls. I mean, action figures are technically dolls. They came up with the term action figures so boys would want to play with them for the very reasons that Brittany's talking about.
Well, I made dolls mostly out of Barbie figures or Barbie dolls. So.
I thought you were going to say
Barbie
barbed
figures.
wire. Dolls out of barbed wire. Those are voodoo dolls. Those are different.
That's a whole.
You didn't ask voodoo
story.
dolls. I would say believe it with voodoo dolls.
Voodoo dolls, great. I believe it too. There was another one. Oh, Loch Ness Monster. Big believe on that one.
Yeah. Well, maybe I should specify. I don't think that this is the same Loch Ness Monster that's, like, been here for centuries. I think it's like the Loch Ness Monster's great grandson.
Sure. Okay.
Like, I believe that it's like, yeah, like, it's not the same Nessie that's been there this whole time. I think it's been a generations of Nessies.
Yeah, great.
I like that.
We're open to that.
I mean,
Babies having
there are
babies.
certain amphibians that can self-reproduce, right? Like, isn't that right? Does anybody know Riley?
A school of them.
Riley, help me out.
It's
Riley
in Jurassic Park, right?
Skips right past Michael.
Let's be real.
Yeah, you're definitely referencing Jurassic Park, so it's probably
That's
true.
all I'm doing. Oh my
Yeah,
god!
Research that movie. It was a big
Frogs,
hit.
I think, in Jurassic Park. That's why the dinosaurs could procreate when they were all female because of the frog DNA they put in them to fill in the gaps.
See,
that's
right.
Right. There you go.
And then bullshit on UFOs.
I just, again, like, I'm just really having a tough time that it just seems to be that they hang out in the U.S.
Okay.
Like,
well, that's not true.
just,
There's
if China said they saw one too, that they were going to shoot out of the sky. So
true.
They haven't seen all over the world.
South America gets a lot of UFOs. Russia, China.
I'm just like having, I don't know, like in my mind, I'm like, I believe that aliens have come down to Earth. I 100% believe that. I just don't know if they're like parking in our atmosphere.
Okay.
Right.
What about like parking in our oceans? Hiding in the waters?
Well, that could be true, but then does that mean that I believe in UFOs? Maybe it's just more I'm spectacle. That's not the right word. Jeez Louise.
You're skeptical about the spectacle.
I'm skeptical about the stuff. No, I'm just skeptical about the mode of transportation.
Sure, great. Right.
Yeah, aliens have spaceships. I just don't know if it's the flying saucers that we think they are.
Okay,
valid.
Great.
Yeah.
Valid point. All right. Well, great job. A lot of food for thought there for us to gleam onto and think about. I like this new doll theory. That's very, very interesting stuff. I'm going to be very, very interested to hear your take on tonight's subject of high strangeness. Now, for this one, I got something. I looked around. I found something pretty weird, pretty wild. And I'm not sure what category to place this in, whether it's alien, cryptid, or a big hairy monster. We're going to find out.
Wow.
This is the story of the Ohio River Octo-Man.
Oh.
Has anybody ever heard about this guy?
No, I've never heard of the concept of an like as an octopus. For some reason my brain went to that there were 8 of him.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Is it
okay?
octopus?
I'm glad you went there too. Yeah, but okay. Now I realize it's probably more octopus because it's a river.
Yeah, this is one of those like big monsters that seems to be some sort of hybrid. Like we've had sheep squatch, we've had bat squatch. We're going to talk about the Octo-Man tonight. A brief little a brief moment on the scene, but it's pretty fun. Here we go. So, it was a cold and windy night in the dead of an Ohio winter, January 28th, 1959. The phone rang at Central Station in City Hall, Cincinnati. Dispatch answered the call. A panicked man was on the line, trying to put to words to something he could not explain. The anonymous pedestrian had been walking along the Ohio River about 4 miles outside New Richmond, Ohio, when he saw a hulking, sopping wet creature emerge from the river and onto shore. When asked to elaborate on the entity's appearance, the eyewitness told the officer that he couldn't, that the being was just indescribable. The man hung up, hoping that the police would investigate. They did not. At least, not after the first call. Midnight came and went. The hour of high strangeness arrived. Dispatch received another call, this time from a truck driver who was calling from a service station along Kellogg Avenue near Little Miami River. He had just passed through Mount Washington on his way from Cincinnati to Indianapolis when he spotted, along the Little Miami River, some type of large, hulking creature coming out of the water.
It came up out of the water. I can't describe it, and I've never seen anything like it before. All I want to do is get the hell out of here and get on to Indianapolis.
Both men were described by authorities as shaken, yet sober. The dispatcher taking calls that night would go on to tell a reporter from the Cincinnati Post and Times-Star,
"We didn't do anything after the first call. After the second, we asked Hamilton County Police if they had heard about it. We sent both cars out after 4 a.m. and chased ghosts for a couple of hours, but we didn't find anything. It really was a riot out there. We kept waiting for someone to say, 'Take me to your leader.'"
If a hulking, indescribable creature weren't perplexing enough, there was also a sudden, inexplicable power outage that occurred during the same time along Kellogg Avenue, running all the way to Lunken Airport and to Coney Island Park in Cincinnati. Even-keeled minds attributed this power outage to high winds that were happening that night, but no downed power lines were discovered. And the power outage occurred on 2 separate electrical circuits. Authorities were unable to find the source of the problem. Now, police briefly considered that perhaps an automobile accident could explain the outage and the creature. A car crashes into a utility pole, slams into the river, and a survivor walks out caked in mud, disoriented, possibly limping. The only problem? No accidents or downed utility poles were reported or found. Yet, the weather conditions were rough that night. The winds were so high that it was said they were causing waves up to 6 feet high on the Ohio River that night. Other theories explored the idea that this quote-unquote creature could be explained away by floating logs and mud-covered debris. The indescribable river monster may have ended up being just another tiny blip on the high strangeness radar had it not been for additional reports flooding in on Friday 30th. A new eyewitness, a self-proclaimed scientist who was, quote, working on things out of this world, end quote, was driving along the Licking River when something jumped onto the bridge. It was large, not a dog or a cat. It leapt in front of my car and on 2 legs, and it was taller than the auto. When I looked back in my mirror, it was moving along the bridge rail. It was 3 or 4 times the size of a man and much bulkier. I have an eye and mind for dimensions, and I know it was huge. At least 2 women spotted a tentacled entity. The first, a young woman from Covington, Kentucky, reported seeing something in a creek near the Fort Thomas pumping station, claiming it was, quote, like an octopus, end quote, and it came up out of the creek and then went back down. The best description of this Octo-Man comes from another woman who spotted the creature along the Ohio River.
It was a strange, grayish creature with a lopsided chest, ugly tentacles, and rolls of fat running horizontally over a bald head.
I want to pause here and say that's a great description. The rolls of fat, a lopsided chest. Like now we're finally getting some detail to this creature. That sounds, the rolls of fat coming down the head is really creepy and strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like it.
I can't even picture it.
And I did write down Tentacle Dentity as another song for
Love it.
Tentacle Dentity.
By the following Saturday, the Ohio River Octo-Man seemingly vanished and crossed back to the other side of the Vale, leaving a community left with a lot of questions and no answers. There are, however, a few notable things about this case that I like to point out. Bigfoot researcher and author John Green mentions the trucker encounter from the first night in his book, Sasquatch Apes Among Us, citing it as a possible Bigfoot sighting, of which Ohio has many. And Bryce, you know from experience that oftentimes these Sasquatch are seen swimming through rivers and using waterways as a way to transport. So it's possible that if it was a Bigfoot creature, it was coming up out of the water. It could have been muddy. It could have had, like river plants and, kelp. I don't know what's under there, but just stuff stuck to it, debris.
Oh, yeah.
Which could make it look like it was tentacled or something strange.
I mean, I'm not leaning that way, but I see where that could make some sense. Sure.
But it's cool that John Green in that early book makes note of it and was like, we heard about this big hulking thing and we don't know what it was. Maybe it's one of these Bigfoots that people see.
Yeah.
John Keel wrote about a similar incident in Strange Creatures from Time and Space. While not exactly an Octo-Man, Keel noted this monster sighting was near another body of water, and just a couple months later.
On March 28th of 1959, 3 teenagers, Michael Lane, Wayne Armstrong, and Danny Peterson, were badly frightened by something near the Charles Mill Reservoir outside Mansfield, Ohio. They said a giant, 7-foot-tall being seemed to rise up off the ground in front of them. It had glowing green eyes, and no arms were visible. Strange tracks were found on the site.
Mansfield is about a 3-hour car ride from New Richmond. Plausible that a hulking Octo-Man could make that trip in a couple months. I don't know. What do you think, Brittany? Hulking creature from the depths of the Ohio River or some misidentified debris? What the hell was the indescribable Octo-Man?
There's a lot of similarities, or I think the things that run continuous throughout is that it was big, it was hulking, and that it was gray.
Right.
Not everybody says that it had tentacles. These three boys are now saying that it has no arms whatsoever.
Right.
Well, and that could be a different entity altogether, but I'm just making a note that, connecting dots that 2 months later, further upstate,
something was seen.
3 boys see something very strange near another body of water in Ohio.
Is it, when I'm listening to the story, I'm getting the sense, unlike Bryce, who says that he wasn't feeling that it might have been Sasquatch, is this a Sasquatch, not mutation, but is this oh my God, I did get an A in science. Is this like a Sasquatch, but it's now adapted to the water?
Maybe. Well, no.
It's an aqua squatch, is what you're saying.
It's an aqua squatch.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Again, there's been theories that some of these things are out there. I mean, as preposterous as they sound. And that's what I find interesting about this case, because there was no UFO activity, no strange lights, nothing of that sort reported. A lot of people went straight to alien, but there's no other corroborating phenomena that would make you think alien. People saw it in the water a lot, coming in and out of the water. And it seems to be somewhere between cryptid and hyperdimensional entity. We don't know. I mean, I just don't think it was a log. I don't think it was I don't think it was that. I think some of these, now this quote unquote self-proclaimed scientist, I don't know who that guy is.
I know my dimensions.
A lot of these witnesses remained anonymous because they didn't want their names in the paper to be made fun of. In fact, in the second story that dropped on the Friday the 30th, there was a woman who pulled up and yelled at the reporter, my husband and I saw that thing this morning. Are you going to put our names in the paper and make fun of us too? And drove off without giving any further explanation. And so even the reports in the paper were kind of tongue in cheeky, okay, everyone's getting real excited about this, but they kept coming down on the side of it's probably just debris or some bad weather stuff. But I don't know. I love this image. This is another monster. I kind of like these one-shot creatures that we get.
This is just a monster. I was thinking the same thing, man. These cases always sort of boggle the mind. There's not a lot to go off of,
I've been doing a lot of these.
Have to do with it?
Well, just at the right. What are the power outage? Now that to me seems to be a bit of a UFO characteristic. Sometimes when there's UFO activity, power goes out for a while. Or maybe if there's some sort of, if we're really using our imagination here, maybe there's some sort of interdimensional energy whoosh, pulse, electromagnetic pulse that happens when something is crossing in and out of a dimension, another neighboring dimension. Who knows? But
because he wasn't just going up and touching towers and the electricity goes out.
I think that
so they just connected them.
It could have been just a residual thing of its presence. I don't know. Maybe it's feeding off power lines. I do too.
Is it just a red herring? Electricity is just a red herring to the story.
Could be. It could be a red herring to the story. Yes, it could be. It could be. But often I would say the appearance of something strange and inexplicable has some sort of tangible real world effect. Something like a power outage happening. Now, what the correlation is there, we don't know. But I do think that was, and they couldn't figure out the source, and it was on 2 separate circuits. So it was not just one power line going down and knocking. It was a couple, and they couldn't find the source for it. But we've been doing a couple of these flash in the pan creatures over on the other side lately, where like one person will see one thing crossing the road one time and you kind of go, well, who knows? But this was cool because it was actually a mini flap happening over the course of a couple nights. And those two calls back to back that first night, I think.
Yeah,
now
strange.
you could say on Friday people are getting into a little bit of like mass hysteria, but just when you have two people calling describing relatively the same thing, enough that it makes the dispatcher go, okay, something might be going on out there. And both these guys seem sober. They seem okay. I don't know. I think there's something to it. I don't know what it is though.
Any drawings, any pictures of this Octo-Man?
No, none in the papers. There's fan art out there and deviant art, but this is one where we don't have any eyewitness sketches that I could find.
And this was the only time that it ever, or that people reported seeing it?
Yep. It was just this little 2-3 night flap between Wednesday and Saturday. By Saturday, they said no one was reporting this anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning to like through Friday.
For being indescribable, there's some pretty clear descriptions.
I know, but if you were like, but if you were seeing like,
that's the paradox of these things, man. I can't describe it, but if I had to, it had rolls on its head. It was gray. I saw 7 arms. They were tentacles. I wouldn't call them arms. But man, I could not describe it if I tried.
But if you were seeing some sort of like,
that point. Exactly.
That was great. If you were seeing some sort of like Lovecraftian Demogorgon coming out of the water during a rainstorm, you might also be like, I don't even know where to start with this fucking thing. It just looked like a walking herd. I don't know. I don't know what you want me to tell you. I couldn't tell what were arms, what were tentacles, what were legs. It was just fucking weird, and somebody needs to get out there and go find it.
Yeah. Especially like too, you also have to think 1959. If we were to see this, like you're saying, we've seen so many science fiction shows, novels.
Yeah.
Like it's become such a part of our like pop culture norm. But like in the 50s, like it's almost like Marty McFly when he goes and like his dad and he's just in a hazmat suit, and his dad's like, "What the hell is this?" Like I mean, I'm sure in the 50s they didn't know what they were trying to describe.
Yeah,
Octo-Man was blowing minds. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I always like this idea of some like strange occult ritual taking place, maybe around.
That's very fun.
You know what I mean? And maybe some young boys got in a little bit over their head and opened up a portal to something.
Yeah, that explains the power outage.
It does.
The appearance of Octo-Man from another. I like that.
Yeah, maybe this is like a Stranger Things prequel.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Such a pleasure talking with you.
Of course.
We wish you the best of luck in your future ghost hunting endeavors.
Thank you. I'll keep you posted.
Please do.
Yeah.
Send us that orb photo too. We're interested in the orbs.
I'm going to send it right after we get off here. It's a good one. Now I'm telling you.
We'll tag in all the social media stuff on Instagram and Twitter. Where can people follow you though, and find out if you got any projects or anything you want to plug? What do you got?
I don't have any projects I want to plug. Looking for work, will hire.
You're in that movie on Netflix.
Yes, I am briefly in Your Place or Mine with Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher that just came out on Netflix. But if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, my handle's @Britney Young. I deleted my Twitter because I can't keep up with that stuff. But I like to show a lot of stuff on Instagram. So follow me there. And see if me and my sister just start making up fake badges and investigating places in Alaska.
That's all you have to do.
All you need is a lanyard. That's all you need sometimes.
There's no credentials. Just do it. Just call yourself an paranormal investigator. You're a paranormal investigator. That's all it takes.
If it works, I think we will be very sad that we wasted our hunting prime.
Gotta do it. All right, Brittany, thank you for being here.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Club Scouts, don't forget to click that follow button on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcast so you never miss a single episode of BCC. We want to hear from you, so rate and review the show while you're there. If you drop us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we might read it on the show, like this one.
JK154650 writes from Canada, best podcast. Every week when you come out with a new episode, it feels like the Battle of Alberta. Calgary Flames versus Edmonton Oilers. I'm so excited every time you come out with a new episode. Thanks for the show. 5 stars.
Hell
Perfect.
Yeah. Go Flames.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Or
yeah, I mean,
Oilers.
one of my good buddies is from I love all of Canada, but some of my great friends are from Calgary. So
you married into Canada.
I married
That's
into
true.
Canada. I'm an honorary. It's
There you
we
go.
may need you to.
Are
help
your
us
kids
escape one day.
Canadian citizens by birth?
Yeah, they're
dual
half
citizenship?
Canadian. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
And they always try and claim a 51 percentile, but I'm like, guys, born here in America, though. Don't be afraid to show a little America love. And they're all just like, shut up, dude. We're Canadian. I'm like, all right, fine.
I need to send a social worker over to your house to make sure you're not being abused, Bryce.
They'll try and tell you it's me abusing them, but don't listen.
Yeah, it's time to play throw hot dogs at the American.
All right. Well, if you want more Bigfoot Collectors Club, check out our Patreon, BCC The Other Side, for 3 bonus additional exclusive episodes every month. Head over to patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club. Be sure to follow. We're like Britney. We love posting on Instagram. Our Instagram is an extension of the show, so you definitely want to follow us over there at Bigfoot Collectors Club, and on TikTok at BCC Pod, putting up some more and more videos. Don't forget to write in with your paranormal stories to BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com and include that phrase L-Files in the subject line. It might just be read in a future episode. As for me, you can follow me on Instagram at McMills and hit me up on Cameo.
Yeah, do the same for me. You can find me on my socials on Instagram at Mr. Bryce Johnson and on Twitter at Bryce O. Johnson. And come on over to the other side over on our Patreon. We're having a lot of fun over there. I think you guys will really enjoy that addendum to the show.
Indeed. And I'm at Peace Drone on Instagram. And I'm also on Cameo. I just sang somebody's mom their favorite song for her birthday.
Really?
Oh, hell yeah.
It's so nice.
That's
It feels so
awesome.
nice to get to be a part of your birthday party. So please invite me to your birthday party.
Be careful. You some freaks out there.
I mean via Cameo and pay me to do it. But you know what I mean. And then also check out that Cosmic Tier. If you like this score, there's a very good chance that it's going to end up on the Cosmic Tier alongside a lot of other music from the show and from my own weird world. So check it out.
Great. We want to thank Britney one more time for joining us. We are crossing over to the other side right now to talk about a very famous ghost whose photo was once published in Country Life magazine. Ooh la la.
Sachet.
Fancy ghost.
If we don't see you there, we'll see you back here next week for an all-new episode of Bigfoot Collectors Club. Until then, good night.
And go get regressed.
I kept thinking of Octo-Man like the whole time.
I have children.
Forgot about that.
I know, right? It probably.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
right.
remember that? Like 2000.
Yes.
Are we doing it?
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan and scored and engineered by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Do us a favor and support the show and unlock 3 bonus episodes every month by becoming a member of our Patreon, BCC The Other Side, which can be found at patreon.com/Bigfoot Collectors Club.